Okay, so today's video is going to be looking at the terms compounds, molecules and elements, and we're going to explain what these are, and we're going to show a few examples of these. Okay, and this video is really aimed at any students that are sitting at the National 5 chemistry course, and it's also maybe aimed at some students that are returning and sitting the higher chemistry course, and they just want to recap some of the material. Okay, so yes, the learning intentions are that we're going to be able to understand the difference between elements, compounds and molecules. Okay, so elements, compounds and molecules, what are they? So elements consist of only one type of atom inside their structure, whereas a compound consists of two or more different types of atom inside the structure. And a molecule is the term used to describe any chemical substance that contains two or more atoms joined together by a chemical bond. And the chemical bond that we're talking about in this situation is specifically a covalent bond. Okay, so inside the structure of the molecule, i.e. the intramolecular bonding, which is inside the molecule, are covalent bonds. Okay, and then the molecules are then held together outside of the molecule by London dispersion forces. Okay, so we have our molecules, and inside the molecules are covalent bonds, and then outside of the molecule, i.e. the intermolecular bonding, is van der Waals or London dispersion forces that are holding it together. Okay, or are holding the molecules together, I should say. Right, so using the definitions that are on the screen, have a little look at the examples that we have here, and have a think and see if you think that they are molecules, elements, or compounds. Okay, so just take a second to try that. Okay, so hopefully you paused the video and you had a look at these, and you wrote down what you think that they are. Okay, what a term they fall under. So on the left, what we've got are molecules and elements. Okay, so we have obviously the elements nitrogen, oxygen and chlorine. They are elements because they only contain one type of atom that would make them elements. However, these guys are special because their elements exist as discrete molecules. So if we look at the structure, the element is an element, yes, but inside the element are molecules. So we have molecules of nitrogen, molecules of oxygen, molecules of chlorine, and there are more examples that we'll talk about in a later slide, but overall they are elements and also molecules. They exist as discrete molecules. And what we have on the right are compounds because they contain more than one type of atom, so therefore that makes them compounds. But these compounds are also special because they are also molecules because they have more than one atom bonded together by covalent bonds. So they are compounds and molecules on the right. Okay, so hopefully you can see the differences there. Okay, and finally what we are looking at on the screen are examples of elements that are not molecules. Okay, so they only contain one type of atom that would make them elements, but specifically they are not molecules. And the reason that they are not molecules is because they don't contain one or more atoms held together by covalent bonds as discrete molecules. Okay, so this is the networky structure that we were talking about in the previous slide on the left, and this is also a network structure, so we cannot call them molecules because they are just a repeating pattern. They contain covalent bonds, but they do not exist as discrete molecules, so therefore they're not molecules. And in the center here we have the structure of a metal, and that would just be an element as well. Okay, so they're all elements, but they're not molecules. Okay, so usually the students will ask me, right, well, how do we figure out if something exists as a molecule or if it's just an element on its own and it's not a molecule? Well, the answer that I always give my students is learn the periodic table. The periodic table is your best friend. Okay, so obviously the periodic table contains all the known elements in the world. Okay, and in the universe at the moment. All right, so all of these are elements. However, some of them exist as molecules as well. Okay, and there are 9 that you've got to be aware of in the National 5 course, and I have ticked these here for you. So oxygen, nitrogen, fluorine, bromine, sulfur, phosphorus, so on and so on. All of these exist as molecules. They are elements, but they are special elements because they exist as molecules. Okay, and the rest of the elements in the periodic table do not exist as molecules. Okay, so that is just something that you've got to memorize. Okay. Right, so hopefully that's been useful for you. I hope that's maybe giving you some insight. It's maybe recapped some of the material that you've done in the past. And I hope to see you in the next video. Okay, thanks again.